Last week, most of us were straight. We're here now, and God to be here. We're gonna die.
Intent on pointing the finger at one, ignoring the simple, undeniable truth that the problem isn't here, it's there. They've attacked us.
20 years ago, they were trapped on the most mysterious island in television history. One became the face of network television, then walked away from Hollywood. One went from an unknown actress to a Marvel star, then chose a life outside fame. One found his biggest comeback in another terrifying mystery series. And one beloved actress from the island left behind a story far more heartbreaking than fans realized. But when Lost ended, the real mystery was no longer the island. It was what happened to the people who survived it. When Lost premiered in 2004, American television changed almost overnight. It was not just a show about a plane crash. It was a weekly obsession. Families argued about numbers, hatches, polar bears, flashbacks, flash-forwards, and whether anyone truly understood what the island wanted. For 6 seasons, viewers did not just watch Jack, Kate, Sawyer, Hurley, Saeed, Locke, Sun, Jin, and Michael. They lived with them. And when the screen finally faded out, millions of fans felt like they had lost something too. Today, we are looking back at the cast of Lost then and now. Not just how they look after all these years, but what really happened after the island. The fame, the disappearances, the comebacks, the tragedies, and the surprising choices that changed their lives forever. Matthew Fox played Dr. Jack Shepard, the reluctant leader of Oceanic Flight 815. Born in 1966 in Pennsylvania, Fox was in his late 30s when Lost turned him into one of the most recognizable faces on American television. Before the island, many viewers already knew him from Party of Five. But Lost made him something bigger. Jack was the man running through the jungle in a torn white shirt. The doctor who tried to save everyone. The believer who started as a man of science, then slowly became something closer to a man of faith. But behind that heroic image, the real story was more complicated. After Lost ended in 2010, Matthew Fox did not chase another massive TV role. He appeared in films like Alex Cross, World War Z, and Bone Tomahawk, but then he quietly stepped away. For years, fans wondered what happened. Was he done with acting? Had Hollywood moved on? Then everything changed. Fox later explained that after years of intense production, he wanted to focus on his family. The island had given him fame, but it had also taken time. Time with his wife, his children, and his private life. By 2026, Matthew Fox is back on television, including a return connected to Taylor Sheridan's World. But his comeback feels different now. He is no longer chasing the spotlight. He already survived it. Mira Furlan played Danielle Rousseau, the mysterious French woman who had survived on the island long before the Oceanic survivors arrived. Born in 1955 in what is now Croatia, Furlan was already an accomplished actress before American audiences discovered her in Babylon 5 and later Lost. She was nearly 50 when she first appeared as Rousseau, but she brought something to the role that made her unforgettable. Rousseau was not glamorous. She was haunted, wild-eyed, brilliant, broken. She was a mother searching for the daughter she had lost. But the real story behind Mira Furlan's life was even more powerful. Before Hollywood, Furlan had lived through war, exile, political pressure, and public attacks in the former Yugoslavia. She left her homeland and rebuilt her life in America, carrying the pain of displacement into every performance. On Lost, that pain became part of Rousseau's soul. Then, in January 2021, fans learned that Mira Furlan had died at the age of 65. Her passing was connected to complications from West Nile virus. For many viewers, it felt like losing one of the island's ghosts. Mira Furlan did not need hundreds of episodes to leave a mark. She entered Lost like a warning from the past, and left behind a performance that still feels wounded, human, and unforgettable. Harold Perrineau played Michael Dawson, the father who would do anything to protect his son, Walt. Born in Brooklyn in 1963, Perrineau was already a respected actor before Lost. He had appeared in Oz, Romeo plus Juliet, and The Matrix Reloaded. But as Michael, he gave Lost one of its most emotional and controversial storylines. Fans remember him shouting for Walt, searching the jungle, falling apart piece by piece. At first, Michael seemed like an ordinary father trapped in an impossible situation. But then everything changed. His character made choices that shocked viewers and changed the direction of the show. For some fans, Michael became tragic. For others, he became impossible to forgive. But the real twist is what happened after Lost. Harold Perrineau never disappeared. He kept working quietly and consistently across television and film. And years later, he found a new wave of attention with From, another mystery series filled with fear, survival, and unanswered questions. This time, he was not just part of the mystery, he was at the center of it. By 2026, Perrineau has become one of the rare actors who can step from one cult mystery phenomenon into another and still feel completely fresh. The island did not trap him. It prepared him for the next nightmare. Josh Holloway played James Sawyer Ford, the charming con man with a wounded soul. Born in 1969 in California and raised in Georgia, Holloway was in his mid-30s when Lost made him a breakout star. With the long hair, the southern drawl, the nicknames, and that dangerous smile, Sawyer quickly became one of the show's most beloved characters. He looked like the bad boy, but the real reason fans loved him was because Sawyer was broken. Every joke hid pain. Every insult kept people away. And every season pulled back another layer until the con man became one of the emotional centers of the entire show. But that role made him famous, and in some ways, it also trapped him. After Lost, Holloway continued working, including Colony, Yellowstone, and later Duster, a crime series that reunited him with J.J. Abrams. But for years, fans wondered why he did not become an even bigger movie star. Hollywood has a strange habit. It gives an actor one perfect role, then struggles to imagine him as anything else. Sawyer was that role. By 2026, Josh Holloway is still active, still charismatic, and still remembered with intense affection by Lost fans. But his post-island story is a reminder that fame does not always open every door. Sometimes, it creates one shadow so large that every role afterward has to fight its way out. Daniel Dae Kim played Jin-Soo Kwon, one half of one of Lost's most emotional love stories. Born in Busan, South Korea in 1968 and raised in the United States, Kim was in his mid-30s when Lost premiered. At first, Jin was written as distant, strict, and difficult to understand, partly because much of his dialogue was in Korean. But what fans didn't know at the beginning was that Jin's story would become one of the show's deepest transformations. He was not just the husband who seemed controlling, he was a man shaped by class, sacrifice, shame, ambition, and love. As the series unfolded, Daniel Dae Kim turned Jin into something far more complex than the audience expected. But the hidden truth is that Kim's career after Lost became even more important behind the camera. He went on to star in Hawaii 5-0, work as a producer, and help bring more Asian American representation into mainstream television. He became not just an actor looking for roles, but someone helping create them. By 2026, Daniel Dae Kim remains one of the most consistent and respected careers to come out of Lost. Some stars leave a show and search for another spotlight. Daniel Dae Kim helped build a bigger stage. Evangeline Lilly played Kate Austin, the fugitive with a secret past and one of the most recognizable faces of Lost. Born in 1979 in Canada, Lilly was only in her mid-20s when Lost changed her life. Before the show, she was almost completely unknown to American audiences. Then suddenly, she was everywhere. Kate was strong, guarded, impulsive, and impossible to fully define. She was not just the woman between Jack and Sawyer, she was a survivor running from the law, from her past, and sometimes from herself. But behind that smile, Evangeline Lilly had a very different dream. After Lost, she became one of the cast's biggest crossover stars. She appeared in The Hurt Locker, joined the Hobbit franchise, and became Hope Van Dyne, the Wasp, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For many actors, that would have been the dream: TV phenomenon, prestige film, fantasy blockbuster, superhero franchise. But the real surprise came in 2024, when Lilly announced that she was stepping away from acting. She suggested that one day she might return, but for now, she was choosing a different life. One centered less on Hollywood and more on personal fulfillment, family, writing, spirituality, and humanitarian interests. That is what makes her story so unexpected. Evangeline Lilly reached the mountain many actors spend their lives climbing. Then she looked around, smiled, and walked back down. Of course, Lost had one of the deepest ensembles in television history. Jorge Garcia, who played Hurley, remained a fan favorite and continued acting in shows like Hawaii 5-0 and Bookie. Terry O'Quinn, unforgettable as John Locke, kept building a powerful television career. Michael Emerson moved from Ben Linus to acclaimed roles in series like Evil and Fallout, and Yoonjin Kim continued working across both American and Korean productions. More than 20 years after Lost began, the cast has gone in almost every direction imaginable. Matthew Fox stepped away, then returned. Evangeline Lilly became a blockbuster star, then chose life outside acting. Harold Perrineau found a second mystery phenomenon with From. Daniel Day Kim became both a respected actor and a powerful producer. Josh Holloway remained active even while fighting the shadow of Sawyer. And Mira Furlan, whose life carried real exile and pain, left behind one of the show's most haunting performances before her death in 2021. Some stayed famous. Some became quieter. Some surprised everyone. But none of them were ever just passengers on a plane. That is why Lost still matters. Because the island was never only about smoke monsters, numbers, hatches, or mysteries. It was about people trying to survive what life had done to them. And maybe that is why fans still care about this cast after all these years. Their faces changed. Their careers changed. Some walked away. Some came back. Some are no longer with us. But for millions of viewers, they are still standing on that beach, looking at the wreckage, not knowing that television history had just begun. Which Lost cast member surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments.